technology moves so fast and our jobs are changing so quickly that, what got you here won't get you there. You still need to grow, even if you're content in your job that you are.
Hello, and welcome to Behind the Screens, IT at ND, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of the IT solutions consultants at the University of Notre Dame.
Here we explore the challenges they face, the innovative solutions they provide, and the tips and tricks that can help you make the most out of your technology. I'm Krista, Manager of IT Marketing and Communications in the OIT.
And I'm Scooter, Director of Information Technology for the College of Arts and Letters. We're thrilled to have you with us today. Our guests today are Elizabeth Zickgraf, Director of IT Culture and Engagement, and Tracy Fronk, Manager of Cloud Collaboration Platforms in University Enabling Technology Services in the OIT.
So we're going to start first with Elizabeth Zickgraf. And before we start, could you tell us a little bit about your current role and the journey that brought you here? And, how long have you been with the university? And, when did you move into your current role?
Yeah, I just celebrated my 10-year anniversary with the university.
Happy anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thanks, I know. It's just a couple months ago, so it's really exciting. I can't believe it's already been 10 years. I came in as the assistant ticket office manager at DPAC. So I eventually, over a few years there, kind of crafted myself into a system admin role for their ticketing software. I'm like, hey, I'm an IT professional. I never even knew it. And then from there, I was looking for my next, move at the university, and a job opened up in OIT for an ITSM professional, being a project manager. I had no idea what ITSM is. I kind of know what it is now after lots and lots, but it's a very, very broad, very deep subject as well. So I did that for several years. I started right when COVID happened, so it was like a very weird start transition for me. And then after a while, the ITSM program started, tapering off, and I needed to find new projects to do. So I got tapped for a couple Tiger teams, and I got to do some special projects and some, the cybersecurity carnival, some really big, adventurous, fun, crazy, wacky things, which is amazing that I got to do that. And then eventually kind of crafted this role that when Charlotte Fronk Garcia was hired on as the Director of Culture and Engagement a couple years ago, I was like, why am I not a part of Charlotte's team? And a little bit later, I did. I got, pulled under Charlotte's team, which was really awesome. And I got to start leading the Fellows program. So I've been doing that for about 2 years now. And then last year, after Charlotte's promotion to senior director, I was promoted to director of culture and engagement. So I have the fellows program, all the pipeline development. I'm working on student hiring and internship projects, recruiting, the DEI initiatives, and building and operations all kind of fall under my umbrella. So there's a whole bunch of varying things, but I have an amazing team. I work with really cool people.
So it sounds like you're dealing with the whole life cycle of hiring, So I would expect that one of the big things that you're dealing with right now is as the boomers age out, we have this big retiring workforce. Can you, maybe give us some numbers around that? What's the impact going to have on our IT folks here on campus?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I don't have exact numbers for our department, or it varies by teams, but basically across the board, across the U.S., it's about a 25 to 30% of the workforce is retirement eligible or retirement eligible within the next 5 years. So it's a huge, huge part of our demographic. It's a huge part of our workforce. And knowing that we have potentially up to 100 individuals in OIT alone that will be or could retire, we need to figure out how to backfill, how to make sure we have our pipelines working. So that's a lot of my job right now, is hiring and the younger employees, training the younger employees, bringing in interns, getting people interested in IT. We work with some really great teams, for example, like John Busey's team with networking, and they go out into some of the high schools, and they bring in the high schools and Ivy Tech to us, and we're able to, talk to them about what the advantages are of being in IT and what the different varying roles there are. So kind of hopefully opening their eyes up to the possibilities of, hey, I could be in the tech career.
That's awesome. So yeah, so speaking of the pipeline, can you tell us a little bit about the Fellows program and, basically just how do we get those guys and, how's that program structured?
Yeah, absolutely. Fellows program, I love this program. So this is our CIO and Vice President, Jane Livingston. Brought this program in when she came in a couple years ago. Wanted to start this. She had it at one of her previous universities. So what we do is we bring in graduates, either high school or college, depending on which track you're in, and we require absolutely no IT experience. So you can be an econ major or a liberal arts major or a math major. It doesn't matter what you are or what you've studied. We're going to bring you in, and for 2 years, we're going to pull you in full-time, benefits, everything, training, and we'll teach you everything you need to learn. So we put them in rotations. We have one group that starts with our service desk and then goes to embedded support with our AVT team or athletics. We're trying to find out some other avenues for that too as we grow and expand. And then we have our fellows associates. And they come in and they're doing project works and they do 3 8-month rotations. So we get to put them in different teams. They get to try out different things and kind of craft their own career while they're learning and supported by a huge support system. So they can try new things. They can fail forward. They can not be afraid of, losing their job or making a mistake because we want you to learn. We want you to test things out and push the limits and figure out what you're interested in. So it's been really, really lovely to be a part of.
Yeah, Tracy Fronk really spoke highly of the fellows that she worked with over in athletics, said that, they were just incredibly helpful and, everything that you would want from a team member, basically. Also, I don't know if you've seen, but the fellows have amazing Halloween costumes every year.
Well, they won something this year, didn't they?
Yeah, they were Team USA.
Yes.
Yeah, so they wore the OIT quarter zips, but they put on an IT Fellows patch that said the IT Olympics, and they all came with their sports paraphernalia, and they were all representing different things. We had swim caps and badminton nets and bats and all sorts of things. It was really funny.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the year before they were Grubhub robots.
The robots.
Robots, sure. So good.
So funny.
So how many fellows do we have at any given time? It's a cohort-driven thing, right?
Yes, it's cohort-driven, and we have different cohorts that come in depending on. We've had some people that got hired out already, so we've had off-cycle cohorts. So we do it as they come. At any given time, at this point, we have about 10 or 11 fellows that are going through the program, and we've had 20 participate already in the past 2.5 years.
And that's at both levels, the technicians
Yes.
and the associates.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So you just mentioned some of them have gone to permanent hires. So who would we know that's been permanently hired, or how many?
I know one.
Yeah. Go, Krista.
Courtney Crochet.
Yes. Yeah. So I hired Courtney. She works for me. She's my associate on my team. She's fantastic. I love it. And then from her cohort as well, we have Caitlin Barber. She joined the ServiceNow team. She was in a ServiceNow rotation, did really well with that, and when in entry-level position came up with Jack's team, she was hired on because she knew exactly what she was doing, and she was exactly what they needed. It was great. We've also got a few guys in the help desk that got hired on. They were in the service desk for about a year, and Nathan and Connor got hired in there, so now they're permanent full-time over in the service desk. And then Dylan is over with AVT full-time when a position came open. So some of them are right time, right place. You've got the skills. You were in the rotation. There's an open position. It's hey, this is great. They're a known quantity, a high performer, and it's just a really easy way to pull them into our pipeline.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So the program's growing in popularity. How many applicants would you say we get?
For each posting, which when I post for multiple positions. Mm-hmm. So the last time I posted for the associates, which was a couple months ago, I had I think 60 applicants for the job.
Nice.
And then the support technicians, the last time I posted, it was closer to, I think, 70 or 80, but we've had upwards of 150 apply for one or for 2 jobs or 4 jobs.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, we post it and we don't say how many there are. We just say there are multiple positions. So yeah, a lot of interest.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Mm-hmm. And are those what's the mix of like local versus university versus like where are these
Oh, yeah.
former students coming from?
Good
Yeah, so we've got it's a good mix of things. We've got most people are within the like Indiana, Michigan area that we've hired so far. Our technicians are mostly local, which is really cool. That we're bringing in people who are interested in tech, who have not had the tech background or tech education, and it's like, hey, like you want to learn this, we'll teach you. So that's been really fun to see. And then our associates, it's the same. Like we've had a couple people from Notre Dame that have graduated, either masters or bachelors. We just hired somebody who did Holy Cross and St. Mary's. We've had Marian University, and I just hired 2 international employees as well. So it's kind of a really cool mix to see the different people, different cultures, different, educational backgrounds and what they bring to the table because they all know something different.
It's fabulous. And this certainly sounds like an excellent pipeline for us.
Yeah.
Are our fellows going anywhere else or?
Yeah, we had 2 we don't have a ton of graduates. So 2 of our graduates have full-time job. One, he works for Marian University. He's doing some data analysis there. So that's awesome.
Wonderful.
And one of the other ones works for a local tech company here in town.
That's
Cool.
great.
Yeah. So we have 100% of people who have left the program have jobs. So I'm really happy. Yeah.
That's
really happy that every single person
outstanding.
That's
has a position.
Great. So, you mentioned culture, different cultures, which can lead us to our next question. So, talking about culture and engagement, what are some of the things that we do in the OIT to care for our people? Like, you're very passionate about employee engagement. So, let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, employee engagement and food, I think, are 2 amazing things.
Yes.
I feel like I'm channeling my grandmother, which is like, you show love through food. But it's also a really great way to get people together, to get them to engage. And so we try to do a lot of things that just bring people together, find ways to celebrate different cultures, celebrate different things. We just actually did a service project for the Ronald McDonald House, and we had like 50 people show up to decorate Christmas bags for the families to put snacks in,
awesome.
like full of like jingle bells and sparkly glitter.
made a mermaid.
And, yeah. It was
Made a
awesome.
mermaid bag.
Yeah,
It was
there you go.
great. Yeah, but it was a way to bring people for not just OIT, it's IT at ND, so it's almost double our population here on campus. And it's just like come in and do something, whether it's a service project or learn about what a ofrenda is for Dia de los Muertos. It's a way to, figure out how people, do they feel like they belong in the organization? Are they heard? Do they have voices? Do they have that psychological safety? So we're trying to create a way and a place where, people can feel good about where they work, who they work with, and to be able to, bring up concerns if they have them or ideas if they have them.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So I also know part of your work involves coordinating some professional development activities. So I mean, we're taking care of people culturally, but we're also developing them. What are some examples of PD activities that you've helped people work with?
Yeah. So we're trying to bring in some. I'm going to start doing like a monthly. Like lunch and learn. So hopefully in the spring semester, that'll be really great. And we'll bring in different speakers for different things. And it can kind of be anything. One of the big things that we're doing for an IT at ND OKRs for this year, so objectives and key results. Is the PDP, so Professional Development Plan. I did a presentation on this in the fall, and I'll probably do another one for people who missed it, because one of the goals is to have, I think it's 100% that people have the conversation to have the opportunity to do it. So we want to make sure all the managers are talking to their teams to know, hey, there's this tool, and let's walk through it to have conversations. We're not requiring everybody to do it, but we're hoping that a lot of people will engage in this. So this is it's a worksheet that Heather Christofferson, so our vice president of HR, she started shopping this around in development and maybe beforehand, but this is the first that I ever heard of it, and brought it to Thrive. So Thrive is the women's ERG on campus. I'm president of that this year. So we did it with that. And I thought, I'm going to do this with my fellows. This is a really great tool. So a couple years ago with all my fellows, we have this, it's a template, and it's really easy. It's like a snapshot of your resume, like a really small snapshot of your resume. Like, where have you been? What have you done? What's your education? Mostly, I think, for like the manager or whoever's kind of looking in this, reviewing it, like snapshot of the background. There's a spot for, skills and, things that you think you excel at, things that you're passionate about. So, what are you looking for in your work? And also, like, what would your dream job be if you could think of anything? And then it breaks down into, there's 3 boxes. One is for like a short-term goal, like the next 12 months, what do you want to do? For my fellows, I reframe it. I'm like, okay, during your fellowship in 2 years. So like, this is a way that we can, edit it for them specifically. And then the second box is like another like medium term. So 1 to 3 years. And the next box is for, what comes next. So with my fellows and, everybody else, I challenge them to, hey, write down like what your role is now. Like, what do you want to do next? So like your next job, what are you looking to do? And even if it's not a title, it's, I would like to work in this sector or this thing or these kind of character traits or with this kind of team, these kinds of skills. And then it has, little spaces for who can I ask about this? Like, who can help me through this and what's a resource I can use? So I love this tool because it's a conversation starter. So this is for me, to be like that 3-year-old. It's like, well, why? And then why? Tell me more. And, it's you kind of feel a little silly doing that. But when you're kind of probing, it's like, why do you want that sort of job? Or tell me more about this. So you can dig a little deeper and kind of get to the root of that's what you want, like that kind of job. So then for me, with my fellows, I can be on the lookout of, okay, I know this team is going to be hiring or this team is going to be having lots of retirements. And maybe this is a good team to have a rotation with. Just different ways that we can engage them and figure out, what makes them excited, what makes them want to pursue a career in IT. And then the other thing I tell people is that it's a tool that you're supposed to modify all the time. Like every time I get a new job or a new opportunity, I'm usually updating that. I try to, encourage people to do it at least once a year, because in a whole year, like something could change. Like, wait, I tried this and I didn't do that. Or I had this opportunity and it's like, wow, I never thought I'd be, I want to do that. So it's like, hey, let's be open to opportunities, open to new possibilities. And it's a way just to talk with people and really do some like self-reflection as well.
Yeah. So, okay, you mentioned that it's a really great conversation piece. But do people, when you fill out a PDP, if you're doing it for the practice of like kind of figuring out what steps you want to take in your career, do you have to share it with your manager? Can you keep it private?
Yeah, you can keep it private. Yes. Yeah, 100%. It's something like, so if you want to do it and you don't feel comfortable sharing it with your manager, that's okay. You can share it with like a partner or a best friend. You can share it with a mentor, or you can keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of good and a lot of insight that can come from, okay, I'm going to sit down for half an hour and I'm going to be like, okay, this is my dream job. And maybe I'm a few years or, a few jobs away from that, but how do I back into that? Like,
sure,
I want to be this manager, but right now I'm an associate, or just an associate, and like I'm an EIC.
Yeah.
Like, how do I get to those steps? What could be a next possible?
Yeah. What would you recommend for getting to those next steps outside of like the PDP, like, folks working in IT at ND or the OIT, or really just anybody listening? Like, what are some recommendations that you have for like at work? How can you further yourself professionally?
Yeah, I think the university has a lot of different ways. Personally, I was an associate manager at DPAC, and I wanted to do some more. I wanted to flex my, leadership skills. And I thought, I'm like, how am I going to be able to do this? And I'm like, oh, there's ERGs. So that was one of the, like, I can not say enough great things about Thrive. Like, it was an opportunity for me to, step up and lead. I led a committee, and then I was on the board for a few years and did different roles, and now I'm president. But I got here because I had the opportunities, and you don't have to be a manager or a director or anything to be part of these ERGs, but it's an opportunity for you to learn and do that. So I would highly recommend that. And also, like, just raise your hand. Like, raise your hand for things. Like, ask your manager, ask for things. I tell my fellows all the time, I'm like, I know you guys are curious and you want things. I'm like, you got to tell me those so I know what you need or want, and then I can help you get it. So, widening your network, talking to people, but you have to know what you want. So like it kind of comes back to like the PDP.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That process of, I want to do this, I'm interested in this. And then you got to ask, make the ask, like advocate for yourself.
Like getting interviewed for a podcast would be on that list, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So some of you may remember the last time we had Tracy Fronk on the program in her role as an IT solutions specialist over in athletics. Well, and we talked with her last time about how she was changing positions, and she is now the manager of cloud collaboration services in University Enabling Technology Services over in OIT. And we thought we'd bring her back today since we're talking about professional development plans and professional development activities and all of these kinds of things, so she could tell us a little more about her journey and how she got from where she was to where she's going. So I wonder, Tracy, first, welcome back.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Yay, here we are again. Could you tell us a little bit about your journey? How did you, was this a big planned transition? Was this premeditated, or was this just a kind of a move of opportunity? Or tell us how you got there.
Well, I would say it's probably a little bit of both. But one thing that I've done throughout my career is always look for opportunities because you never know when they're going to pop up. And so while at Notre Dame, I've always had the job posting subscription, if you will, that you can say, oh, here are the positions. If something like this pops up, come to my inbox. So I had that. And I saw this position pop up, and it's something that in the back of my mind, I was thinking, oh, yeah, I wouldn't mind getting back into management, people management. I've done that before. It's something that I've always enjoyed, but it had to be, really the right fit. And so just keeping your eyes open for those opportunities, and then also making sure that you're always keeping your skills up or continuously learning. And then I do really value having a professional development plan because it helps you focus on really what are those gaps in your skills that maybe you do need to, take a Udemy course or go talk to someone that works in that area. Just seize those opportunities for training and new learnings, and really think about what you want to do in your career path.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and when you and I and the team were talking about your upcoming episode, so before the last episode of the podcast, you talked about in your role at athletics, some of the different opportunities you had to sort of like step up and guide the process or lead or, kind of like help create sort of like the best role for you that would be best for you and best for the university. And so talk a little bit about that and like how you kind of, give recommendations to other people like in their role and how to make things right on a personal level, like a professional goals wise.
Sure. So I did this here, but also in my prior position before I came to Notre Dame, I had an opportunity that I looked really at what I was doing, what the university needed, where again there were maybe gaps in services and skills, and maybe I could fill that gap with skills that I had. So it kind of starts with a proposal or rewriting your own job description in some cases, and really pitching that idea to leadership and saying, hey, I see this need that's not really being met. I have this skill. This is something I would like to do. What if we changed my job description to kind of fit with that? So when I worked at Valparaiso University, I saw an opportunity to really jump into more process improvements and continuous improvement, and they really didn't have anything established there. So I had actually reached out to Carol Mullaney here at the University of Notre Dame while I was employed at Valparaiso University, because there was an Office of Continuous Improvement here, and that was something that I thought could benefit Valparaiso University. So I met with her, and then I drafted this proposal, and I kind of shopped that around, if you will, and lo and behold, they accepted it. They thought it was a good idea, and they said, great, how about you lead it? So careful what you wish for. But it was really, really a great opportunity, and I felt very blessed that they saw the value in it. And then when I came over to the University of Notre Dame and I took a position in athletics, it was, I think, really always meant to be more of a consultant type role and less of a break fix. But I still found myself doing a lot of break fix.
Sure.
Because there's lots of that to do. But as I was implementing new applications and working on process improvements, really just based out of the need that I saw and the people that I communicated with, I felt like there was more that we could do, more that I could do. And so I pitched the idea of really helping manage what is now becoming the enterprise application for athletics called TeamWorks, but becoming a product manager for athletics. And so I proposed that idea. The current Yulander Wells reviewed it, and he said, yeah, I think this would be good. Nina also agreed. And so here I am, or was, prior to taking my new role, working in more of a product manager role within athletics. Still doing a lot of the consulting work, still taking on process improvements, but now kind of steering that ship as far as that particular application, because it is so widely used across athletics. Every student athlete, every coach, every staff member is using it.
Yeah. Well, I think that that's such a great story. And my hope is that story inspires other folks to consider making big moves like that, rewrite your job description, put together a proposal, and just realize that, taking the time and effort to do that can be incredibly beneficial. So thank you so much for that insight, because I just feel like that's amazing.
Well, and I think even if you don't, maybe your ideas aren't accepted, it's always good to go through the process. It's good to think about, hey, what could we be doing better or differently? Think outside the box a little bit. Don't just do the job that you were told, oh, this is the job, because there's always something more that you can do. And you never know where it's going to grow into, or what you might gain from it, or what new opportunities might arise because you took the time to really think about how you could do your job differently, better. And I think with, all of the new technology that's coming out, AI, there's lots of opportunities really to get creative with how you do your work.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and this really seems to fit in nicely with what Elizabeth was saying when we were talking about how we match individual desires with university needs.
Yep.
This is really pulling it down to a personal level and being able to say, I myself have identified this gap, and I myself can have the skills to fill that gap. So it's a way to do it at a very personal level to really achieve your own professional goals while meeting the university's needs.
Very cool.
It's a big win-win.
Yeah, seeing it in action, exactly what Elizabeth was explaining is exactly what Tracy has gone through. And so that's really mirrored there.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I'll caution is it does take time, right?
Sure.
So I know there a lot of, I'm not young, so a lot of younger folks might think, oh, well, I did this and this should happen automatically. It takes time, it takes work, it takes effort, but it is worth the time and worth the work. And to really evolve into a job that you love doing, you love waking up every day and coming to work and thinking about new things and new ways that you can do things.
And I'll give my own personal plus one to the PDP form. I've gone through it with all of my team, and the conversations differed in level and differed in formality, but they were really great conversation starters to get people thinking about where they want to be.
Yeah.
Not just next year, but maybe 3 years out. What are we aiming for? So yeah, it's been a great conversation starter for us.
Yeah, sometimes it's, I want to work on my presentation skills. And so it's I'll find extra ways for you to do presentations during your team meetings. So it's I can figure out ways to craft these things, but I don't know unless you talk to them.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
All right. So with the encouragement for everybody across the board to be completing PDPs, what do you do with the person who is just completely content, doesn't really feel that this is necessary because, hey, things are good. I like my job. I'm doing good. Work is good. And I don't know, I kind of learn things on my own, and that's that. What do you say to that?
I don't want to be a manager.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Not happy in with what I'm doing, like
Yep.
managing programs and my stuff, and that's it.
And that's totally fine. I've had this question before. Also, it's, well, I'm going to retire in 3 years. What do I need to do? So I think sometimes you can, it's completely craftable. Like you can make whatever you want out of this. So with somebody who's going to be retiring in, 3 years, so maybe it's not a new position I'm going to be in or a new, like, formal role with the title, but maybe it's, hey, I'm going to be a mentor and I'm going to be able to, mentor somebody up, bring them up, train them. Or if it's some sort of brain dump of all the things and the institutional knowledge that I carry, I'm going to be able to pass this on to my team. I can, do KB articles or write some documentation. I can go through and kind of, figure these things out. So it's like, you're retiring, but you're also giving back. You feel like you're still growing, you're still doing things. For the people that are, completely content where they are, there's still room for growth. Maybe it's, working on your, presentation skills, or maybe it's working on, written communication, or it's working on networking, or it's working on, something else where it's like, I'm making connections, I'm doing this, I'm growing myself, I'm going to go to a conference, or I'm going to take this HR class, or I'd like this certification. So you can't be stagnant. I think technology moves so fast, and our jobs are changing so quickly that, what got you here won't get you there. You still need to grow, even if you're content in your job that you are. And that's totally fine too. I mean, I think there's a lot of individuals that, I've got this job. It's perfect. It suits my lifestyle.
Yep.
It's my season in life right now. This is exactly what I need. And I don't want more. Maybe down the line I want more, but I'm still going to grow and, make those changes and make connections and read those books and go to those classes and, be able to work on my Udemy. And there's a lot of different things you can do with the PDP that doesn't mean, oh, I'm going to go into a new job or I want to be a manager.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
So let's kind of take this to the next sort of logical step then. So you're talking about what an individual can do to improve themselves, whether they're reluctant to do it, whether they're moving on, whatever they're doing. And we talked, I think we also have talked about, what are the needs of the university? We've looked at this retirement timeline and the number of people who could go at any moment. So it's a lovely way to say that. How do we connect those two populations? The ones that want to move somewhere with the openings that might be coming, or how do we connect those dots?
So that's a tricky one. I think one of the things that we're doing right now is we just put out a big skills assessment for the IT community, and I think we got like an 85% return.
Oh, that's true.
I know, which is amazing. Like we had a lot of people who filled this out. So the point of the skills assessment, which our 2024 more cohort is going to be doing all the data analysis for this. So at the retreat in January, which all the IT community is invited to attend, we'll have a little bit more like results to reveal what we found from this. But the idea of the skills assessment is, hey, in like 3 to 5 years, like things are going to be different. And we know things are going in a certain direction, although we're not quite sure where it's going. But those skills that we're going to need in the future, we want to know if people have those skills or want to, develop those skills as a way of, hey, managers, this individual would really like to learn this skill. Is there a way we can incorporate that in there? But we can also see hey, that person has that skill. We didn't know that. And that's something we can grow and develop over the time. So it's kind of like a little bit of a glimpse into the future of what we think we'll need, seeing what we have right now and who wants to, take different roles and responsibilities to get there.
So you said that they'll have that data
hopefully by January.
By January. That's neat.
Yeah.
Does that get so how does that get sort of like, do we get it shared with us, or is it just kind of go into like strategy, or
so like me as a director, do I get to find out what my folks are up to, or where they want to be going?
question?
Yeah, it is a good question. I'm not sure what the breakdown is going to be, but I know so the more cohort is as their capstone project, they're going to look through it and they're going to go through all the data, kind of see what they find. Like I don't know what they're going to find, so they're just going to dig until they find some really cool results that they can present on. So then when they present on it, I know it'll go to SLT, and from there, I think SLT will be able to, do a little bit more data mining or find things for specific teams or find those, people, those individuals who are interested in these different sectors. Like you're interested in InfoSec, oh, interesting. Like we didn't know you wanted to do that, but now we
Sure.
do. So it's not just another way that we can,
Yeah.
connect with people and help them on, their career journeys.
Okay, now that we've swatted Elizabeth away from the questions so that she can't see them before we ask them to her, it's time for Consultancy Quirks, where we ask our guests a few fun rapid fire
Okay.
questions. What fictional character do you identify most with?
Ooh. Maybe Belle from Beauty and the Beast.
Ooh,
Ooh, and why is
cool.
that?
Like loving to read and learn and seeing potential in people and things, and it's like, hey, like there's a beast. I'm like, but there's something really cool
Aw.
behind that. It's such, I can see
Beautiful
that. Yeah.
answer, which is what the word Belle means, right? So that's awesome.
She's got a great library too. I'm like,
Yeah,
Right, yeah. Never-ending food, library.
that's true.
right.
No other people except this one person. I mean, this is
Plenty
like an
of
introvert's dream, right?
Alive, inanimate objects to talk to.
Come on.
Great.
Great.
That's kind of what it's like working in tech, right? Yeah. So Tracy, we asked you the consultant quirks questions last time, but we have some new questions. So
great.
naturally, we're going to ask you some more questions.
If you weren't in IT, what job would you have?
Well, I always wanted to be on Broadway,
Oh,
Awesome.
but that ship's probably sailed. But maybe one of these days I'll get brave enough and I'll audition for the Civic Theater in South Bend, and we'll see.
Do you do coffee house?
I only did it one time, and every time I'm like, oh, I should do it.
Yeah.
And usually it's a scheduling conflict for me. But my youngest will soon be out of the house, and so we'll see.
Awesome. Very cool. If you could have dinner with any person, real or fictional, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Oh, goodness gracious.
That's a thinker.
I know. Real or fictional?
Yeah.
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 And living or dead. So
Living or dead. So
go
a dead
back and forth
fictional.
in history. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I think one of the answers that I probably always give is Jacqueline Dupre, who is yeah, like wait a
Scooter
second,
has
you know,
lit up.
like I forget. Yes, you're
You know
a
who
fellow
this is.
musician.
Right. Yeah. My wife is a cellist, so
Yes.
so
Oh,
we
right.
have
Oh, that's
recordings
right.
of
Yes,
Jacqueline
right.
Oh my
Dupre.
gosh.
right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so Jacqueline Dupre was a very, very famous British cellist who unfortunately had MS? Yeah, she was
MS.
diagnosed with MS at a very premature age, but she was like brilliant, as a teenager. I mean, probably the best cellist ever to have performed, and like her music just like gives you goosebumps, and just to like, ask her what it was like, how she got there, what's it feel like to be, the best in the whole world, and yeah, it'd be
Awesome.
a very cool person to
Yeah.
have dinner with.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be that's an excellent choice. I like that. What's the last TV show that you binge watched?
So I am, and I wouldn't say binge watch because I generally don't, but I have been consistently watching Umbrella Academy, which has been out for a while, but my daughter got me hooked on it. So we kind of make this our thing where we'll try to get together once every couple weeks and then watch 2 or 3 episodes. It's a crazy show if you've never seen it. It's very interesting. I believe it's on Netflix.
Okay. Umbrella Academy. I feel like I've heard of that.
It's it's a lot of sci-fi, time travel, crazy stuff.
Oh, I know what one you're talking about now.
Yeah, it's been out for a while. But
Yeah, that does look good. Okay, good to know. If you could swap jobs with anyone for the day, who would it be?
John Kelly.
Let's see. I think it would be really cool to be a head coach at Notre Dame. I wouldn't want to do football or basketball, but just one of those, I think that would be really cool, just to kind of have that inside track.
Yeah.
I'd be happy taking the salary for a day.
Right.
And so lastly, what book would you recommend that everyone read and why?
Book.
You talked about the library, so
Yes, the library. Yeah, I am a very avid reader. I think I love Jane Austen. Love her books. And I think as I got older, I love Persuasion, which is like a little bit more mature heroine in that. And I think there's a lot to learn from her of, just like being patient and waiting for the right thing, and like being happy when it's there and being happy with where you are. I think it's a lovely book. It's amazing, and I think it's one of her lesser read novels.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Yes, thank
It's been
you.
a real pleasure having you
Thanks
here.
for having me. It's
been
been
fun.
great. Yeah, chatting with friends. This is great.
I know. It's definitely been fun. Like you said, you work with amazing people, and so yeah.
I'll pat you on the back.
Yes. Thank you.
It's time for tech tips and tricks. At this point in the show, we like to highlight tips and tricks that we learn from you, our listeners. We would love to hear your ideas. Simply email them to us at btspodcast@indy.edu. That's Behind the Screens Podcast, btspodcast@indy.edu. Today, we'd like to highlight for you just a couple of security matters that have crossed our desk recently. The first is from an email that we all saw on November 14th from Information Security about a new email security solution that at the time said was coming soon. InfoSec is in the process of implementing some of these new security features, and we have more to come. The big thing that we kind of want you to take away from this today is perhaps a reminder for some of your users, where I know in our area we're often asked, why do I need to do all these security things? Why do I have to have all of these processes on my computer? And it's because we are under pretty constant attack at regular intervals, and these new security measures that are going into place are a direct response to a recent series of attacks that we saw over the past couple of months. So stay safe out there. We've got more features apparently that are coming soon, and InfoSec will surely keep us up to date.
Yep. Also, since it is the holiday season, there's tons and tons of online scams capitalizing on people shopping and having things shipped here and there. So many of us have seen that, USPS text notification scam that goes around. So there's that one. But there's a bunch of stuff, social media ad scams. So, you've got official paid social media ads being dropped into your feed, and those are scams. So that's unfortunate. There is a article on oit.nd.edu in our news section, written up by Lindsay from InfoSec, and it is called The Naughty List, How to Avoid Online Scams This Season, and it really goes into some detail about some of these different scams. It's definitely a good thing to share out to your users and even your friends and family, everybody, to stay safe out there for sure. If you've got ideas about either of these topics or anything else, just email those ideas to btspodcast@nd.edu. If there's anything else new, exciting, or frustrating, or inspiring happening in your IT consultancy world, please share that with us. We would love to hear your insights too, and all of your ideas.
Join us next time when we speak with Sean DeWard, video engineer professional from Indie Studios, to discuss the technology behind making game day and media productions happen at the university. Until then, thank you for listening.
Thanks, everyone.
Signing off from Behind the Screens, IT at Indie.
Stay tech savvy, Notre Dame. So I'm gonna ask for an edit. So the beginning, when you first started, I was super immature and thought that it sounded like you said crap, and in your first line and started laughing.
What did she say?
She said I crafted myself into.
Oh.
So I don't know. Can we just record? Just re-record the first line. Yeah. Just re-record. I don't want it to hear me laughing.
I didn't even really notice.